history of Sumer, particularly through the listing of its rulers. Although the tablets are not identical, it is clear that they are referencing a similar historical timeline. It appears that a lot of the tablets are from just before or during the 2nd millennium BCE, which is the millennium after the emergence of ancient Sumer. But it is the fact that these artifacts reference the period of ancient Sumer that make them so interesting and relevant to our story. The tablets recognise that many city-states existed in Mesopotamia and that many of them had their own king. Kingship is something that these cuneiform tablets declare as descended from heaven to the town of Eridu. Apparently, the first king of Eridu was Alulim, who lived for 28,800 years. Now, I wasn't there, but I do have a problem with this information. Firstly, I can't find a lot of evidence of any human living for almost 29,000 years in history. And secondly, if I was to believe that Alulim and his successors were ruling for a total of 250,000 years, then that takes us back to the very origins of Homo sapiens, and there is very little archaeological indication of Alulim existing before 2nd millennium BCE, let alone the 248 millennium BCE. The one interesting thing that these tablets reference is a flood. 8 rulers in turn ruled Sumer, and then there was a flood. Then there were dynastic rulers. Now, one of the most well-known flood stories of ancient times is the one within the book of Genesis of the Bible. When Noah built an ark and took a limited amount of Earth's life on board in safety from the catastrophic consequences of the flood. Could the flood mentioned on the Sumerian king list be the same flood? Could this also be the same flood mentioned on the famous Epic of Gilgamesh? The Epic of Gilgamesh. The fact of the matter is that the Genesis flood story has striking similarities to the Gilgamesh flood story, and with other similarities to other events. It may well be that the earliest stories of the Hebrew Bible are the same stories that are recorded in cuneiform on tablets in Sumeria. The earliest version of the Epic of Gilgamesh is written on tablets that date back to the early 2nd millennium BCE. Gilgamesh is a king of the city of Uruk, and this information is supported by his presence on the Sumerian king lists as the king of Uruk. The Epic of Gilgamesh was likely not written until after this Sumerian period, but we can suppose that Gilgamesh himself may well have been a Sumerian period king through analysis of all information available. It is believed that Gilgamesh may have been alive and ruling Uruk around 2600 BCE. Further to the similarity to the flood story, there is also a character called Enkidu, whose story is not dissimilar to the first biblical man, Adam. So there are very much those who believe that the book of Genesis in the Old Testament can find a lot of its roots within the cuneiform writings of Mesopotamia. The Epic of Gilgamesh is a fascinating little story, made all the more fascinating by the fact that it is quite possibly the earliest written story that we have. There are several versions of the story that have been excavated, similar to the Sumerian king list, and there are also more modern versions that appear to have been deliberately altered, perhaps to satisfy the author's desire to add his own spin. However, it is a window into an ancient mind's creativity. So I would strongly recommend listening to an interpretation, and I have a couple of recommendations which I can make for you at the end of the podcast. Sumerian language. So all of these documents were written in a language called cuneiform. The language itself has had to be studied and translated by modern scholars to be able to determine what was being written. Otherwise, these clay tablets would be somewhat meaningless. We will look closer into the emergence of writing in future podcasts. Now, we can't say that cuneiform is the first writing. That would be like going against everything that the History of the World podcast has discovered by suggesting that one day people woke up and invented writing. There is evidence of early forms of writing in preceding millenniums. However, the Sumerian cuneiform represents one of the first distinguishable languages that we can determine that the Sumerian king list and the Epic of Gilgamesh were originally recorded. Our abilities to retrospectively work out the language and subsequently translate it has opened up a window into the way that society worked in Sumer. Much is mentioned regarding the kings of Sumer, who are often the star of the show in Sumerian texts. However, there is a great air of mythology within the stories and mentions of gods and various aspects of nature and emotion. There is also emphasis and focus on death and afterlife, as well as the mysteriousness of dreams and how they can serve as omens for the future. So spirituality is a very firmly established cultural aspect and has led us to retrospectively use spirituality to explain many aspects of prehistoric behaviour. Spirituality was obviously a precursor to modern science, especially when it came to explaining the nature of nature itself. The earliest forms of Sumerian language are attributed to the Duniden period of Mesopotamian history, which lasted from around 3100 BCE to 2900 BCE and followed the Uruk period. The Duniden period predated the early dynastic period, which is the very subject of this podcast. In all likelihood, in my opinion, I believe that it is very likely that the Sumerian language is some.
Get out of the bed! Get a plate! What the? What are you eating, crumbs? Can't pay. Everywhere I go, there's a problem. You can't even go to the mall. I used to go to the mall all the time. It was a nice place to kind of unwind. But now they got these huts in the middle of the mall. These little kiosks. What is this? I don't buy anything out of a hut. I don't even know if the hut's gonna be there tomorrow if I have a problem with the product. These things are on wheels. They could be 3 miles down the road in no time. But we used to own that part of the mall. That's where we made decisions in the middle of the mall, right? We used to go with your family. Used to go, where you going? I'm going to Sears. Where you going? JC Penney. We meet back here in 1 hour. Now you can't do that because you see a hut and you walk with your girl and you look up there, you're like, oh, come on. What do we got to put up with? What is this hut? Because these people that work in the huts are aggressive. These sales techniques are very aggressive. You ever get attacked with cream? You're walking out of nowhere. You want to try cream? Fried cream is good. It's from Israel. It's good cream. It's hand lotion. They act like they got something that we've never seen before. Who's trying the cream and going, oh my God. I'm soft. What the hell is this?
I'm gonna blend it.
You have bottles of this back there? Weird stuff are happening in these huts. They're threading eyebrows. Have you seen this? A woman is laying down and someone's just... There's eyebrow shrapnel flying everywhere. Landed in my auntie Anne's. The world is changing, man. Come on with the subway. Why is this a problem? Getting a sandwich. It's a sandwich. I got behind a lady. It looked like it was her first time out ever. Just a look of confusion, bewilderment. Came up to the counter. How does this work here? What do you do? It says step 1, big bread. You don't see it? How do you make a sandwich at home? What, did you start throwing ham all over the table? Whip the bread! Then she saw the condiments, her head almost popped off her body. She was sitting there looking at the condiments, telling the guy, not that tomato, no, the third one underneath, that one on the side. I want that tomato. It's not a puppy. Making up there's rules at Subway you gotta follow. This woman's like, I don't want any of the cucumbers or olives, so double up on the turkey. It don't work that way. The sandwich is $5. There's a net profit of 4 cents on it. And you want double?
Hey! Just the race car just cut off.
I feel like I'm working there. Gotta sit there and listen to this.
Okay.
I can't do it.
The race car is a double shot. Oh my God. I'm gonna lose my mind. Okay, we're going to. Hold on, I don't know.
Patience
We're
for
going.
this. Just keep it moving. When you're out, just keep. I don't hold it up. The guy asked me, what do you want on your sandwich? I told him, run it through the guard. It's everywhere you go. Grocery store, that's always a problem, right? Customer service, they gave up. The grocery store gave up on us. They put in self-express checkout lanes. They basically said, you know what? You do it.